Hi everyone, Smurfina here. I am making my first video telling you, or actually showing you, how I apply my nail wraps. I've had several people ask how I do this because my nails are oddly shaped, so I thought I would show you. As you can see right here, these are the nail wraps that I'm wearing. The one on the left is called Penny C. It was an exclusive wrap. It's now retired. You can't get it anymore unless you find someone who's willing to give it up, but not many people are. I've already applied that one to my hand. As you can see, it's on my ring finger. I put it over the lacquer Raven, which is just a plain black lacquer, which is right here. And yes, you can do that. You can layer them. This wrap right here is from our Wonder Woman collection. It is called Strength and Wonder. And as you can see, so I can show you, I've already applied it to my pinky and my thumb. I'm going to be showing you my index finger. And the reason I chose my index finger is that is the finger that is the hardest for me to apply nail wraps to. As you can see, if you look on the side, you can see that it curves from cuticle to tip. But also if you look this way, if the camera will focus, you can see it looks like a big horseshoe. It's like really curved. So my nail is not only curved, it's also domed shape. When my index finger on both hands is longer, not only does it curve in both directions, but then it also curves to the side. And that is because I used to chew my nails until they bled. I was a big, huge nail biter. My nails and my cuticles looked horrible. If you're wondering on my ring finger what color that is, see that? That's actually two colors. That is the one I showed you before. That's Raven, right here, with a layer of this called chiffon over top of it. And when you layer it, it gives you this really pretty metallic green look. Now, under all of on all my nails, the white that you're seeing right here, I have this. This is the, if you can see the label, it's the smoothing base coat. The reason I use this on all my manicures, no matter what I'm using, nail wraps, lacquer, gel, doesn't matter, is because of that nail biting I mentioned before. I have a lot of dents and dings and imperfections that cause my manicures to not be smooth. So I use that on all of them. It also helps with removal being easier. And then as you can see, I have my tools here ready. I have my glass nail file. I love this nail file. I have my metal cuticle pusher. I have my orange stick, my cuticle pusher, my scissors, my nail clippers, and then here's our mini heater. And when I'm ready, I'll just push the button, turn it on. This is pretty quiet. And then when I'm done, if you can see back here, this is our True Shine gel lamp. And these balls that are upside down, this is the base and top coat. I will put those on top of everything just to help the manicure last longer. I'm probably not going to show that step because I don't want this to be too long, but my main purpose is to show you how I'm applying this wrap to this finger. Alright, so let's get started. I'm going to prop my phone up. I don't have a tripod, so I'm just using a cup. And we'll give the camera a minute to focus here. There we go. Hopefully my phone doesn't fall, but I should get a tripod if I'm going to be doing these a lot. Well, so now, first thing you need to do whenever you're applying nail wraps is to prep your nails. You want to wash with a good soap. I use Dawn dish soap that gets all the oil off. And then you want to take either a cuticle pusher like this one, or the medical cuticle pusher. It's got two sides, and you want to go and get all the invisible cuticle off your nails. I've already done that part, obviously, and applied the base coat. So there's no oils or cuticles or anything on my nails. If there were, the nail wraps would lift and wouldn't last. Now I'm going to size my nail wrap. Now, one important thing about sizing is you don't want to have the nail wrap touch the skin here or the cuticle. You want to go just slightly smaller. As you can see, now I haven't filed the edges off, so the edges look a little bit weird. But if you can see, I've got just this slight gap right here and right here. And that's just so that the nail wrap will stick easier. No one's going to notice that until I point it out. Like I'm sure you didn't notice that until I actually pointed it out. On my ring finger, I did the same thing. I left a little tiny gap. It's kind of hard to see because the lacquer underneath is so dark, but there's a little tiny gap so that the wrap doesn't lift up over the lacquer. So for this finger, I usually have a small wrap. So hopefully you can see me doing this. And I'm just looking to make sure that there's going to be just a little free edge. And there is. So this size will be the one that I use. Now for me, because my nails are so oddly shaped, I cut these before I take them off the sheet to the length of my nail as much as possible. I find that if I don't do this, it causes a lot of wrinkling, especially with the metallic wraps. And you can tell the wraps are metallic because they will have this silver backing to it. These ones are the hardest for me to apply without wrinkles. They take me the longest time. But again, I wanted to show you how I do this. So my nail, I'm going to hold it to the back here, ends about right there. Sorry, I'm just looking. My nail ends about right there. So line right where the word Grace is on the nail beside it is where I'm going to cut, so that I don't have too much excess. If I have too much excess, it'll wrinkle, and wrinkling is what we don't want. So here we go. I'm gonna cut up to the word Grace, and then I'm gonna cut across, just across the nail wrap. Now I'm not taking it completely off, that way it gives me something to work with to lift it up off of the sheet. And you don't want to touch the back of these with your fingers, because the oil on your finger is going to cause problems with the adhesive sticking to your nails. So therefore, I'm going to take my orange stick and I'm going to use that to lift the wrap up off of the page. Ta-da! Set that aside. I'm going to turn the heater on so it can warm up a little bit. So now I'm going to apply this. Try and get it as centered, as much centered as possible. And I'm sorry if the camera keeps going out of focus. I have it pretty close. I've got very bad eyesight, so I have to have my contacts out or I can't see. So that looks pretty straight. Okay, now notice I haven't pressed down on it or anything, I just have it in place. So what I do now is I take my rubber cuticle pusher, and right up by the cuticle in the center, I just press down lightly just to keep it in place so it doesn't move. I have not heated this up at all yet. Okay, so if you noticed, you can see I don't have a lot of extra, which is good because that means it'll wrinkle if I do. So now I'm going to take my rubber cuticle pusher and I'm just going to tap down on it on the sides. I'm going to go over to my heater, which you can't see because it's over there, and heat for just a quick second. See, very quick. And that's just enough to get the adhesive to work. And so now I'm going to go from, I'm going to work the center, and I'm going to start at the cuticle and go down. Now I'm not rubbing, I'm just pressing and tapping. So I went from the cuticle down the center to the end. So now I'm going to come here to the side. And again, I'm just tapping. I'm not rubbing at all. I'm just tapping it into place. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to tap it. Oops. I'm just going to tap it into place. Again, this is my first instructional video, so I'm sorry if it's not perfect. Okay, so if you've noticed, I tapped it in place to here. That's only halfway down my nail. But I'm doing that because if you notice, right here on the sides, it's starting to wrinkle a little bit. And that's what usually happens because of how curved my nails are. Now that I have it tapped down, if you can see, now I can see I've got some extra. And that's what's causing it to wrinkle. So I'm going to take my nail clippers, because I have more control than with scissors, and I'm just going to clip off those corners. So that that is no longer there. Okay? So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to tap down I'm going to tap down the rest of the way and get it all the way to the end. Now it's time for me to heat the nail wrap. But I don't heat it directly from on my finger. I don't go like that. There's my heater. What I do is I take my metal cuticle pusher and I take the large size and I heat that on my spoon, on my heater. And I do this because this enables me to lay the curved medical cuticle pusher, because you can see it's curved like a nail, over the entire wrap, and allows me to adhere the adhesive all at once and get a better and smoother application. And I can use this also sort of like an iron. Think about it, if you've got some clothes laying on an ironing board that are wrinkled, you use the iron. And it's the same concept, or at least that's how it works for me. So let me show you now that it's heated. I'm going to take my spoon and lay it directly over my nail. And I just rock it back and forth so that it heats. And then I make sure I press along the very edges all around so that it seals it in. And I've got a slight wrinkle. I know it keeps going out of focus. I'm sorry, people. I got a slight wrinkle right here at the edge, so I'm just going to rock the back of it so I don't create any dents with the edges. I'm just going to rock it back and forth like this. And then I'm going to smooth it down. One thing I do is it's still warm for the very edges to seal the edge is I will run the heated spoon along the very edge like this. It helps seal it. And I just keep going back and forth gently anywhere that I might see any wrinkles until I get it smooth. Now you don't want to heat it too much. You don't want to keep going back and heating it, because if you heat the wrap too much, it'll break down the adhesive and ruin the wrap. So I'm just going back over it. Looks pretty good, don't you think? Now I'm going to let it cool down. When the nail wraps cool down, sometimes some little wrinkles will show. Like if you can see my thumb, looks pretty good on the sides, but on the very end right here, which I know is kind of hard to see, on the very edge right there, I've got a little wrinkle. And let's see, my pinky looks pretty good. No wrinkles there, just that one little one on my thumb, and we'll see what my index finger does. And then once I get them all laid down with no wrinkles, then I will apply my True Shine base and top coat over it to lock it in. And I will do another tutorial on how I do that at another date. If you have any questions about how to do this, feel free to message me. I hope this helped.